Welcome, everybody, to the Brave Healing Podcast. The mission at Brave Healer Productions is to change the world one brave word at a time. I am your hostess, Laura DeFranco, and I am super excited to have with me these amazing author expert guests to help me with this mission. Susan and John Cross are passionate advocates of connecting with nature to reduce stress and anxiety and improve mood. They call this experience creating a Zen environment, or Zenvironment for short. They're on a mission to help others experience firsthand the healing power and grounding of nature. Hey, you guys, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Excited to be here.
I also have Dr. Lorraine Olivero Brodeur and Rich Brodeur here with me. They are the co-founders of Aquarian Medicine, an exclusive, holistic, integrative lifestyle medicine system for the 21st century, a fusion of ancient healing and wisdom interwoven with modern medicine to engage the healer and teacher within to create a life of health, vitality, and purpose. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you so much.
So what do all these amazing people have in common? Aside from wanting to help heal the world, they are co-authors of The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, which is a book that offers 25 different holistic healing practices and tools you can do at home. You guys, when I woke up on March 20th of this year, just maybe a week or so after pandemic hit, I had been in a bit of a panic of my own practice, physical therapy practice, closing down. But that morning I woke up with the book idea, and in about 48 hours of after me reaching out to the healer community that I knew, basically with the message of, hey, you guys, we have really powerful, important tools to help the world heal at home right now. Who wants to write a chapter? 48 hours, I had all 24 yeses, and 5 weeks later, volume 1 was born. And so what I've been saying since the beginning is that this project, this whole project has had such a bigger energy than just me. Like something else is driving the train here. I'm just following orders. And here we are with volume 2 about to launch in July. And I cannot wait to share these stories and these amazing tools with everybody. So thank you all for being part of that, for saying yes, for doing this with me, and for really stepping up to help empower people to do this healing thing. So Lorraine and Rich, talk to me a little bit about your chapter and what the topic is here for the reader.
So the title of our chapter is How to Trust Your Gut. There's so much information overload in the world today. People don't know what food should I eat, what supplements should I take, which exercise is best, what should I do? So we look external to ourselves to get the answers. And that could be good at times, right? Because it's a nice guiding force. But ultimately, the only person who really knows the answer is you. You know, and I learned this tool of trusting the gut when I was a kid. I used to love to be in the woods and just be with nature, just sit around in the forest and just listen to the water. And I just found that answers would just come to me from this place of stillness, of knowingness, of this intuitive knowingness. And right now, I'm a primary care practitioner. I also have a holistic integrative medicine practice of Aquarian Medicine. And I've been doing this for over 25 years. And the most valuable tool that I can teach a patient or a client is how to trust your gut. Because all the answers that you've ever looked for are all within. They're all within. So you can get external guidance, but then it's about going to that place of the gut, to the place of the second chakra, and ask, yeah, is this for me? Yes or no? And the answer comes right away. So I'm really excited to share this tool with you all, and I hope that it, you know what, I know that it's going to benefit you like it's benefited myself and everyone I've ever taught it to. So thank you for letting me be here. Yes.
It's such an incredible gift, that gift of understanding the language of that inner healer and inner wisdom. Essentially, every answer, all the clarity you ever want is there. And I think to teach this gift is it's just one of the biggest gifts you can ever help somebody understand. I remember early on in my own healing career, walking into courses and feeling like I was the only one who couldn't feel that, the only one who didn't have the answers like that. And how come everybody else could do that but me? But, deep inside, I knew, like, if they can do it, I can do it. And I did need the right teachers to say it in the right way so that I could learn that skill. Something fun about all the chapters, you guys, listeners too, as you read through all of the chapters, you're going to hear repeating themes. There is a reason for that. And one of those repeating themes is exactly this, is getting in touch with your intuition and that place that can give you the answers. So Rich, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the bigger mission of the Aquarian medicine system that you guys are working on.
Sure. Well, with the Aquarian medicine, first I want to start with the name Aquarian. I mean, a lot of people look at that and say, what the heck is that? Is this some zodiac sort of sign association?
I happen to be Aquarius, you guys. So like when I was listening to you, and I started reading, and I'm like, what is up? They just made this whole thing for me. I love it.
Yeah. So, we do not give horoscopes, we don't write any of that stuff. You don't do any, sun charts. But what the age of Aquarius is entering a new cycle. In the Indian Vedic philosophy, they have the cycle of the yugas, and we've entered in 2012. Some people say it's happened on November 11th, 2011. But generally speaking, there's a new cycle, the end of the Mayan calendar, into a new age. And this new age is one of knowing. Sometimes people would think that it's an age that you go within, but it's really an age that you recognize within is all around. And our main goal it's also a personal journey for me. And that, like anybody's journey, it always starts with your own stuff. I, for myself, and even Lorraine in her experiences as a doc, sometimes people, including myself, we look for external things for the answers. And then we realize, wait a second, I have this internal compass. How do I calibrate it? And Aquarian Medicine's core goal and mission is to provide tools, a mixture of wisdom teaching, Gnostic teachings, as well as modern day science, to give you your ability to have your own compass, to find the guru, the inner healer within yourself. We don't want to create a system where you come to us and we're the gurus. We are not. We want to create a system that we provide tools through our own experiences, right? Through our own knowledge, because it's a journey. It's not a destination. And we want to be able to provide tools to be able to enrich one's life, to find that inner compass, to navigate the waters. Because we are in an age where it's not about the external, it's about the internal.
So I'm going to end up asking John and Susan this too, because I just can't help myself. Listen, working together is for warriors as a couple. How's it been for you guys, Lorraine and Rich?
Oh, it's awesome. You live your life and you say, what is this about? Right? What am I supposed to, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? What is my purpose here? And for us, it's really clear that we're here together to present all that we have to everyone else. And that's our purpose. That's our journey. And it's so much larger than us. So for us, it's been a blessing. It's been such an honor to have anyone hear what we had to say, and with the hope that anything that we may have to share helps, the person, the client, to find their journey, to create their own life, to dream their reality.
I'm just going to commend you again for being able to do that together. I think it's what a gift to have found each other inside of a bigger mission. I'm a little bit in love with that topic. That's why I'm wanting to talk about it. I think it's awesome. It's maybe rare to find two people that have come together like that and are moving forward to create something bigger. So it's awesome, you guys. I'm happy to have you guys here. So John and Susan, talk to me a little bit about this chapter of yours. Who wants to go first?
I'll start it off if that's okay.
Sounds
Go
good.
for it.
Our chapter is called Finding Your Zen, using nature to heal no matter where you live. And for us as healers, the great healer for us actually is nature. And Lorraine, you even said you found clarity in nature. And Laura, we've been listening to some of the podcasts that you've been doing with some of your authors, and a majority of them are saying that they find their sense of self, or they're able to recenter when they get out in nature. Our journey's been a little bit different, because what we want to do is allow people not only to be part of nature, but to recognize that nature's own work on itself is a metaphor for all of us and how we can work on ourselves as well. Nature never takes a day off. Nature is in a constant state of restoration and change as it transitions from one season to the next, one growth period to the next. And even in the midst of chaos, there's still beauty. And that message is one that I think is universal and one that we can't hear enough.
No doubt. I love listening to that, especially the idea that if we get into the rhythm of that change, we'll be in a kind of natural flow, where many people I have met are a little bit the opposite. They're in resistance to that, constantly bumping up against not wanting things to change or trying to control that flow. So what do you see there with the people that you're helping?
As we share our story of restoration, and our story is a little bit different, and I'm going to have John give some details about that specifically, but we actually felt this and observed it before we realized that this was a metaphor for living. We live in a rare habitat and had the opportunity, once we learned about that, to restore that to its native state. And within our own family, I was resistant, exactly what you're talking about, to that restoration, because it required a lot of disruption on the front side to get rid of invasives and to bring forward what's naturally supposed to be here. And John, fortunately, had the fortitude and the mindset to say, you know what, no, we're going forward with this restoration because we're here for a reason to do that. And the benefits of that, I felt our entire family has felt. And as we share the story of that, we get the head nods that we're seeing here on this podcast, but we also get an appreciation for what nature actually offers, which is an example of being and presence. And that's something that we can all internalize. And when we start to release, what I found is when I start to be present, rather than trying to control my presence and behave in particular ways or respond in particular ways that I feel are dictated or appropriate because of what I've learned, a whole new world opens up, and I can be a conduit of change for a lot of people, and I'm a better person on the inside out, and that allows me to connect and share with others much more effectively.
I cannot wait, John, to have you talk about this property and what you guys did. Will you give us a little bit of the details? So of course I'm privy to all the chapters, right? And I've read all these things. And when I read through yours, I was fascinated by, first of all, you taking that project on. That had to be, well, I'm going to let you tell us about it. Go for it.
Love talking about the project. So as Susan indicated, we live in what's called the Oak Openings region of Northwest Ohio. And it is considered by the Nature Conservancy to be one of the last great places on the planet. And there's a lot of different reasons for that, which we don't need to go into here. But once I realized, I guess, at that point, that our property was in this globally rare area, it was full steam ahead for me. I'm an all-in kind of guy, and once I realized that that's what our property was, and that we could do something about it to restore it back to its native state, that's what I was bound and determined to do.
Did you
And
guys know about it when you purchased?
we did not.
Mm.
So there was a book that Susan came home with one evening. She went to a local meeting, and they were handing out this book that was called Living in the Oak Openings. And within that book, it talked about all the rare plants. It had a map of the actual region. So that's how I could tell that we were actually in it. And it talked about how the property and the area had been, I guess for lack of a better word, destroyed, neglected. It's been developed over the years. So all of the habitat that harbored all of these rare plants and species had been developed. Businesses, parking lots, housing developments, things like that. So at this particular point in time, there's only 1% that is thought to be left intact.
Wow.
And most of that is in the hands of private landowners. So that project started, the restoration project started maybe 12 years ago, give or take. And it was off and on during that time. Work, family, other priorities obviously would get in the way from time to time. And then a few years ago, I was off work for a while by choice. And it was during that time that I really focused on the property because it was something that I love to do. It's my happy place. So it was a real gift to be able to spend that amount of time taking care of and nurturing the property. And it was during that time that I started to take a look around. I guess I had a moment of clarity, if you will, or this God moment. And I started to see all of these amazing things that were happening on the property. And rare species were coming back, species that were thought to even be extinct or near extinct in our area were coming back on our property. Our front yard harbors a little patch of orchids that are not known to grow anywhere else in this part of the state.
Wow.
And other species were starting to come back. And like I said, during that moment of clarity, I thought, well, what's going on here? And this isn't just nature doing what it needs to do. This is a metaphor for life as well. So when you can get rid of the junk that's in our heads, and we all have it, and welcome a little disruption, and in the case of the restoration project, that's a controlled burn. And during that controlled burn, it looks pretty nasty. It's pretty black out there, and Susan can attest to that, and she is. But after that burn, that's when the things start to come back. And so when you compare that to our lives, disruption can be many, many different things. It could be the loss of a job. It could be a failed relationship. The list goes on and on. But you get beyond that and you think past that, or as Lorraine said, don't think about it, just be intuitive about it. That's when the amazing things start to happen. And so that's how we've gotten from just a purely restoration type project to this is a metaphor for life. And so Susan's the word person of this project, and I guess I'm the case study. So I guess between the two of us, we make a pretty good team.
Nice.
I like to offer a little scale here. So the Oak Openings region, just for those who are listening and may never have heard of it, which is likely, is approximately, it's just a little bit larger than the size of the state of Rhode Island. And it runs from Northwest Ohio to Southeastern Michigan. So between Toledo, Ohio and Detroit, Michigan. So it's a large piece of property. And if anyone is familiar with the Midwest, and all of the manufacturing and development that's here, you can understand why only 1% of it remains. And I share that scale on an order of magnitude because what we know for sure, John and I, is that when even 1% of something remains, there's still hope. And many of us are carrying around baggage and remnants of lives that, parts of our lives that we want to just put in a box and leave on a shelf forever. But even when 1% remains, it's worth fighting for, and there's still hope. And every single person that I have ever met has at least 1% of themselves that's worth preserving, that's worth nurturing, that's worth championing, that's worth fighting for.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, nice. That's such a great way to think about that. So I have one question, and maybe you can, well, so here I am in Bethesda, Maryland, certainly not a property like what you're talking about. A lot of roads, got the Beltway, but I have my yard and I have my, the stuff that is in my yard. So what can we do with our property, even if you just could give one tip for looking at what we have if we really don't know what's there or are a very, very, very beginner at that? Any tips?
I think that one of the keys to that is it doesn't have to be a restoration project per se. So nature is what it is all the time. There are no excuses. It doesn't pretend to be anything else other than what it is every day. So if we as humans can connect with nature, whether it's a restored piece of property and rare orchids, or it's simply a patch of grass in your yard in Bethesda, or a few flowers that are growing in your yard in Bethesda, or the trees that may or may not be there. If we as humans can just be with whatever those pieces of nature are and clear our heads of the junk, I mean, that's what we're talking about here, right? It's being in nature as a form of meditation, and meditation is just allowing ourselves to be. And it's at that point that we find out who we really are. So there's a couple different ways to look at it, I guess. Bottom line is you don't have to restore your little patch of lawn in Bethesda to be one with nature and to help use it to clear your mind and just be.
Thank you for that.
You do have to go out into it though, right? So
Yeah.
You either have to look at it or you have to let yourself touch it. Let yourself use all of your senses to experience it, and become part of it versus just observing it. And I think that's the key difference. And I think John hit on that so well. It's being part of it versus trying to control it, versus just observing it from afar. And even if you're living in, Manhattan, right, or in Chicago, where you may not have access to something green, you can start by listening to nature. You can listen to nature sounds. You can look at beautiful pictures and just stop what you're doing and breathe and count to 10. And immediately feel a little bit of restoration, feel some relaxation. I know John and I both, he calls it his happy place, but just stepping outside and taking a deep breath to feel the wind on your face or even the rain on your face if that's what's going on, or the snow. There's a calming feeling that takes place, and that's because you are experiencing nature. You're not just observing it.
That's nice. That's the no matter where you live part of your chapter. And I love that. Thank you, guys. So back to Lorraine for a moment. When I've been interviewing all of the authors, we're talking about a couple of different subjects. And so one of them is just why holistic healing? Like, why is holistic important when we talk about this journey? How would you answer that?
All right, first off, I have to say I love you, John and Susan.
Mm.
My God.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
want to come visit.
Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for bringing balance back to nature. We need to become in balance and one with nature. What an incredible example that was of human being as opposed to human doing. We're
Thank
so
you.
all about doing. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do this. We need to do that. Da, 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 da. And what we've all learned in these last 3 months, I mean, we've all been sent to our rooms, right? We've been sent to our rooms to think about what is it that you need to do, right? In the sense of yourself.
Yeah.
And what we learned is that we need to be. So to answer your question, Laura, why holistic? Holistic is about looking at every dimension of your being and becoming in balance and in tune with that, right? And if we're doing so much, we can never be. And we need to be within that place of stillness, of no thought, to know what we need to do. As shamans, as modern healers, we know that the best way to heal yourself is to go within and to make sure you're eating appropriately, that your lifestyle is pure, that you try to stay away from all this 5G and these environmental chemicals and preservatives like in our foods. And we're assaulted by a lot of toxins. And so it's so important that we're eating appropriately and that we feel balanced in our lives. Yes.
Yeah, so I just want to piggyback on that and expand. Being in nature, you reconnect with the Earth's frequency, the Schumann resonance. So when Lorraine brings up 5G, not every place has 5G, but it goes beyond 5G. It goes from the Wi-Fi, the cellular connections, even 4G. All these signals disrupt our connection to the Schumann resonance, the harmony that we are born into, the womb of the Mother Earth. Every particle of our being comes from her. And of course, she's comes from the stars, and because we are star beings. But it's about holistic is about the whole picture, the totality. If I just fraction off as an outsider, I'm not a doctor, but if you look at the economics of it, who gets paid the most? Specialists. Specialists, they look at just little slices, little slivers, right? Even if a lot of times you go now to a new doctor, they come out of medical school, they have essentially almost like a checklist of, do they fit in this category, they fit in that category. We are not beings that fit into categories. There are a lot of things that intertwine in there. We just like Mother Nature, we are an orchestra. And if one instrument's out of tune, it's going to bring other things out of harmony. So that's the whole being. And
Nice.
so I just wanted to touch upon that.
Yeah, nice. Really nice. Go ahead, Susan.
I'd like to piggyback on that just a second. It's interesting, Rich, that you bring that up. So we first restored one piece of property where we live, and we had an opportunity to restore another piece of property that's about 2 miles away from where we live. And we were trying to decide, we had to purchase it first in order to do that. And as we walked the property trying to decide what we were going to do, one of the very first things I said to John was, I feel like this property is calling out to us to bring it back, to help it restore itself. It's in the midst of a lot of agriculture. So the being one with nature and feeling the energy of that is very real. It's very real. And even as Laura said earlier, even in her spot in Bethesda, you can still feel that, or in Manhattan or Chicago or San Francisco or wherever it is. But that is real. And we felt that for sure.
Powerful. I love listening to you guys talk about this. Man, oh man, this is one, nature alone, we could be here all day long talking about this subject. I hope the listeners are, you're piquing their interest. And I think sometimes our job is just to say those words that shift the perspective enough to wake somebody up to a possibility. right? And even if we could just do that one thing with our brave words, we will have won. And you guys have been doing it over and over again since we started this interview. I love it. So Lorraine, I had one question for you, because when I read the chapter, Trust Your Gut, and there were these two ideas as I read. Trust my intuition, that gut, that feeling to drive me, but then also your gut health, which can be very medical when people talk about it, like the biome and all the good stuff there. And what you did was made me realize you need one for the other. You need both of those to be going. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Sure. So there's different dimensions of our being. Our being is informed from our energetic body, from our surroundings, from nature, right? To our soul, then to our mind, then to the physical, right? So when we're disturbed if we're not eating, so again, we have like 81,000 chemicals and preservatives in our food, which causes imbalances within the gut. When you have those imbalances within the gut, it causes inflammation, and that inflammation can cause dis-ease. The problem with that inflammation can then go up the vagus nerve into your brain and play with the chemicals of your brain as well. So now you're anxious, you're depressed, you're sleep deprived, you're all of these things. You go to me in a white coat and we give you the medication to deal with the brain, but really, if you go to the holistic me knows from 25 years that it all starts in the gut. And when we're eating healthy and we're balanced within, not only just the food, but the emotions, all of that anxiety, that depression can go away. And it's real powerful. It's all connected. It's all focuses on each of those dimensions. One thing, like, okay, change the way you eat, and then you'll feel 100% better. No, well, what about what about doing with this whole right outside of New York City in the suburbs of Rockland County, and everyone down. I mean, everyone was going down, and I care, and I'm monitoring people, and I say, okay, a lot of coronavirus patients, and how was I handling that? I was telling them to go out into nature. I said, listen, you need to be. Okay, I want you to go outside. I want you to face the sun. I want you to sit, and I want you to ground, and I want you to just be with yourself and breathe and see, what is this about? Let's go to the bigger picture, right? That ego perspective. What is this about? We went to our rooms, right? We all had a lesson we needed to learn, right? What is this about? What is it that I need to do? And I want you to eat like this. I want you to do A, B, C, D, do natural stuff, right? And what I found is that the natural stuff is really what helps everybody. And they were well. Thank God I didn't have to send not one person to the hospital. And they all recovered because they went within. They went within. So what were they doing at that time? That they were eating right. People came away from this understanding how important self-care is, how important emotional well-being is. They're now spending time with their families and their friends and via Zoom, right? We at first I was like, what is this telehealth thing? Man, I want to see my patient in person. I want to be able to touch them. I want to be, and now I have this thing that's in between us. But I got to tell you, there was something I loved about it. There was something real because I was looking in their eyes. I wasn't looking at a computer entering stuff, and I was looking into their eyes and really feeling them. And it was so beautiful. And this incredible sense of being that people went into to find healing, and in doing that, their microbiome was becoming more balanced, and they were feeling better because of how they were going out for walks, they were eating better, now they were feeling better. So it's all connected.
and we've been saying it's all connected for decades, those of us who have been on this journey, and I think we're just finally figuring out just how connected. That's what you guys are all talking about. I love it. Sorry, you guys, if Lorraine was breaking up just a little bit there, but I think you guys got the gist of what she was saying. I love the connections. I love the possibility of the connections. I love thinking about, where that self-care comes into play. A lot of people were so hurried and busy and overworking. This massive slowdown forced everybody to, take a break, take a pause, and really understand that from that nourished place, you can serve from an overflow. There's a lot of energy in that. We can even be more productive as long as we're taking that time to do the things we need to do, to nourish ourselves again. So I'm going to ask Susan and John a little bit different question, little tweak on that whole why holistic question. So how do you know there's healing to be done? Let's see how you guys answer that one. How does one even know to begin with?
I'll start with that one.
All right.
So for me, when I come home from something I don't really care to do, like work, and my neck is tense and I have a scowl on my face and I'm kicking the dog, there's healing to be done.
That's for sure.
And
no kicking the dog, John.
We don't have a dog, so I'm just throwing that in.
Okay, good thing.
The other part, which is probably a prescription that comes from Susan, is when she takes a look at me and she asks me if I'm going to go outside today.
The code.
I know there's healing to be done, and I just got my prescription from the doctor.
I love that one.
Go outside, because when I do, I come back a different person and I have a different look on my face, and because I'm allowed to be and I'm not being judged, and I'm healed.
Yeah, that's a nice way to answer that question. Would you add anything, Susan? How else do I know?
I get mentally foggy. I start to have some brain fog. I'm not good at solving problems. Things that might be small problems seem bigger in scale than in reality they actually are, in terms of the impact and the greater life. I also find that I don't sleep as well. I'm not sleeping very well. I have interrupted sleep, or I don't have restful sleep. And I think for me, one of the other signs is that I have a hard time focusing. So there's the brain fog of things escalate beyond that they should, but then there's also the brain fog that leads to an inability to focus. So it takes me twice as long to think through or do something, or I find myself reading the same paragraph 6 times when I could have skimmed it in one pass and understood what was going on. And so when I start to observe those in myself, and I am reacting to things from a place of deficit instead of a place of fulfillment or a place of joy and wonder, that's a major sign. I need a little bit of nature therapy, or vitamin N, as some people call it, or I need to just re-ground myself with the natural rhythms that are right outside my door.
Yeah, nice. I think that what I've observed is people in general are resigned to a particular level of living, and it really can be mediocre compared to what's out there to be lived, the joy, the levels of joy and health, right? And that's one thing I really want to help people wake up to, especially the ones who've been walking around like zombies with the frown on their face constantly. Sometimes I feel like I want to say to those people, hey, you can live a much happier and healthier and vibrant, and my term is fiercely alive life. So Rich and Lorraine, what would you add? How do you know there's healing to be done there?
Who answers this question?
You know,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to bring it to the mythic. In the shamanic realm, the level of the mythic comes out of hummingbird. And simply, if you're a musician and you ask a musician, how do you know your instrument's out of tune? Typically, you'll get two answers. You'll get a newer musician, one that is not as deeply rooted into it. They'll say, well, something's off maybe, but my tuner says when I check, it's off. So the little signal is not exactly right in the middle. But one who is in tune with rooted within the music just knows. So this goes into Lorraine's book of that inner tuition, as I like to call it, intuition. How do you know? You just know. Now, the great tool within the, that Lorraine shared in the book is one that cuts right through it. It's kind of like the maple tone wood. It just cuts through the mix. And by tuning into your second chakra, you get a direct line to that inner tuition. And that is a tool to use, because if you're not in tune with that second chakra, the level of jaguar, then the garbage of the mind, all your perceptions and projections get in the way. And a lot of people sometimes misconstrued that gut feeling as your ego just doing stuff, being pulled in the way of the garbage. So I would like people to sit on that and just really understand that there's a way of being rooted in just knowing.
Okay, I paused at jaguar. You need to back up and tell me what that's about.
In the shamanic realm of the teachings, and our lineage is one of the Inca, the Peruvian lineage, and they have animals that represent different archetypal energies. So the first level is one of serpent. It is what it is. I am holding the glass of water. It's a glass, and it has H2O in it. The level of jaguar is the level of emotions, and it's a very seductive level that people get caught up in. If you think of the emotion of water, if I'm really thirsty, oh my God, this tastes bad, I want to have a Coke or something with all that high fructose corn syrup because it tastes really good. The level of hummingbird is an energetic level of the mythic, the poetry, the art.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Right. And then the level of eagle, which you heard Lorraine mention before, is the archetypal energy of soaring 30,000 feet in the air, seeing the energetics of the whole totality, but yet having the vision to see that the mouse. I think they hunt mouse or whatever they hunt, but they have the eyes to be able to see so clearly from 30,000 feet, but also to see the landscape. So to bring it back to your question, the level of jaguar is emotion, and we get caught up in it a lot. But when you could tune into it, and then once you tune into that resonance, that vibration, you then could have that direct cord right up to your higher self, which extends through the 8th chakra to get that inner tuition, that intuition, not the gut feeling that, I had a gut feeling to do this, that's distorted by, past traumas or perceptions and, things of that nature.
But the knowing. Yes.
I like to piggyback off of that. So
yeah.
We're only 5% conscious of what's in our mind. The other 95% lays dormant in our subconscious and rules us, right? So from that place of emotion, a lot of that initial comes from this subconscious mind that you're not even aware of, that's based on past stories, limited beliefs, past events, and may stop you, say, no, I can't do that, because you don't want to repeat that his story, right? But when you go from the place of the gut, which is like a direct connect to your soul, and you say, well, wait a minute, should I do that? Yes or no? No. Like the answer comes right away, like 2/3 into the question. Should I do it? Yes. Or should I do it? No. That's now you're connecting with your soul, which is bypassing the mind. Like if we live our life in our mind, we'll be screwed, right?
Yes.
Like all these indigenous cultures, like I've been studying these indigenous healing traditions for over 25 years, right? And one thing we find is that they lead with the heart. And when they lead with the heart, their mind responds to it. Here we lead with our mind, and it causes complete chaos in our heart, and in our gut, which is why we have so much disease, right? So we need to lead with the mind, but the direct connect to what that looks like is to access the soul, and that's where that gut intuition comes in, right? When you're leading from that gut place, that's that place of knowing, of that intuitive sense. I believe we're evolving beyond our five senses to our sense of knowing and intuition, where there are no words, and you just know. And when you that gut comes, should I do it? Yes or no? No. Okay. Does that feel right with the heart? Yeah, no, you shouldn't do that. Like, you check in with the heart. It's incredible how all of these tools are within us. And for millennia, you hear these ancient healing traditions are called alternative medicine. And there's nothing alternative about it. It's been around for thousands of years. Modern medicine's alternative, right? So now they're finally seeing, hey, you know what these gurus, what these shamans have been saying for thousands of years, there's something to say about that. How connecting with nature. Oh yeah, we need to do that, right? We co-evolved with the plants.
Yeah.
And so there has to be this balance, this harmony, this respect. And I think that's, what this is all about right now with our present time in this Aquarian age, is about that stepping to that place of increased awareness and consciousness of the importance of being in balance, Ani, with nature as well. So Susan, John, thank you for being stewards of the earth, my God. And Laura, you're a martial artist. You know how it is about the gut, right? Like when you react from that place of ki or that place of chi, depending on where you're coming from, and it's just boom, you just do it, right? So we need to trust that. We need to go within and do that, and that's our message.
So if you guys are if you're getting turned on by these conversations like I am, don't worry, because right below the video in the little notes, you guys are going to find the websites. I'm going to hook you up with these amazing people, listeners. So don't forget after the show to go there and explore the websites, because right now our book isn't out yet in another few weeks, and you guys are going to be able to dive in to these amazing chapters and come into the worlds of these expert healers. Oh my goodness, you guys, these conversations, I tell you. So I was talking to a couple of the other authors about this other big gift we're giving people in terms of, there might have been a time in your life where you did not have a circle to talk about these things in. You might have been looked at like, what? Or you might have had some criticism from friends or family around you about talking about these amazing things, right? So one of the things I love that you just said, Lorraine, was we're coming back around to talking about alternatives that really are foundational ideas and theories and medicine and awareness and all of the things that need to come for us to really, really be feeling good, mind, body, and soul. We've known that these things should be integrated and connected. Science, catches up a little bit, and we pull some people over to understanding it a little bit better. But it's these conversations, I think, that excite me in terms of sharing, with other people. Was that a bird that just went over your computer, John?
No, it was an ant that crawled on my camera.
Oh, that was weird.
We were one with nature there for a second.
Exactly. The animals always show up, you guys. It was a cat in one of them. It's been dogs. It's been interesting things. You got to love that. And I love, so of course I understand about the chakras. I understand about the different levels. I hadn't really had, Rich, anyone describe those particular animals you were talking about in terms of those places and level. Everything is connected. There's so many ways to talk about it, right?
Yeah. I just want to point out that every indigenous tradition has different animals of archetypes. Mm-hmm. So, if you look at Native American totem poles, you'll find different ones, but it's about what they represent, the energies that they represent. And and sort of like I always like to view it, levels of perception, right? What glasses am I putting on, right?
Nice.
So, like when we talk about the mythic, we just had an experience with ant medicine,
Ants,
right?
yes.
Now,
Look up ant medicine.
what
see what that
what
means.
are ants? I mean, they work together in tandem. So the energy, if I were to look at it through the lens of the ant medicine, through the levels of hummingbird, is wow, we're connecting right now at a level where we need to start working like the ants, like a colony, collectively as a people.
Definitely.
So that's how to view these energies.
That is fun. Yes. If I had my Stephen Farmer book with me, I'd be opening up the pages right now, but it's upstairs. So we'll have to wait. I'll go look at my ant medicine. Okay. So you guys, what I'd love to do at this point is just talk about something that you want the listener to understand about this healing journey. One of the things I believe is, and I said it a little bit earlier, is that those who chose to be here, showing up every day vulnerably in the journey to learn beginner's mind, to practice awareness, we're badasses, we're warriors. That's my definition of that indomitable spirit, which is another martial arts term. Just always showing up, waking up in the beginning of the day and showing up for that, whatever that day may bring to us. So John and Susan, and maybe each of you today would like to answer this question briefly. What's one thing you want the listener to know about this healing journey that we're on?
For me, it would be that everyone needs to find their happy place. The thing or place that makes your heart sing. And that same thing or place is where you will find your true self. It's not a one and done type thing. And when we use the Restoration Project as an example, there was a lot of work up front to get to a point where, okay, we can go forward, but there's still maintenance. And the same holds true with each one of us. You can find your happy place, but it's not one and done. There's work to be done every single day. However, if you can identify that, it makes the job a little bit easier.
I love that answer for so many reasons. I had been teaching a writing class, and I had one of the participants at the end, for questions, and they said, "How do you have so much energy?" And I paused for a minute because I do have a lot of energy, and my answer, that knowing answer, was at a certain point, I would say about almost 5 years ago, I started to prioritize joy. And since I made that a priority, that happy place, the flow of energy has been incredible, amazing, magical. I'll use crazy words like magical because that's how it's felt to me. So thank you for that answer. I love that answer. How about you, Susan? What's one thing you want the listener to know about this journey?
For me, two of the most underrated human experiences are being and presence. And we have a right to just be, and we have a right to be present. And in order to do that, though, we have to show up for ourselves. And that means we have to give ourselves permission to show up. And we have to set aside the things that pull us away from ourselves, similar to what you're saying, Laura, and John as well. But we have to set aside the things that external forces, society, job, responsibilities of any type for family or whatever, we have to set aside that pulling us away from ourselves. What I really want people to know is that we have to start from within, and then we can greet everything on the outside.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to give a little shout out to a woman who's an author in our first volume, Lori Calvo. Her entire chapter in that book was about showing up for yourself. Mm-hmm. And as a foundational tool first, before you can start to do all the other things, right? All the things need to come after that. So I thank her for writing that chapter, and for you all, taking these themes and running with them. And as you all know, any one of us could have written about I don't know, 100 tools. And I challenged you all to pick just one that you're going to give the reader an experience with. And that thing that you just said about showing up for yourself, it has to happen no matter what tool you're practicing, no matter what chapter you're reading, no matter what your goal is, right? So thank you.
I'd like to add one small thing. In my experience, if we don't show up for ourselves over time, that mindset will catch up to us and bring us to a show-stopping moment where we don't have a choice but to show up for ourselves or continue living a life that's not authentic and that does not offer the opportunity of service to other people.
I love that too. I had a coach say to me once, you better smell the smoke before your house burns down. So I got really good at just smelling that very subtle smoke, right? And coming back around to myself again to ask, okay, what's going on here? You know, we don't want the house burning down. Rich, how about you? What's one thing you want the listener to understand about this journey?
That if you encounter anybody that says they have the answers, that they want to be your guru, run. Because at Aquarian Medicine, the system that Lorraine and I founded, we believe that you are your guru. You are your own guru. You are your own best healer. That all these external avenues are just tools to get you back into balance. And, what we just do is we just try to provide a wide array of paints that allow you to be the artist to paint your painting.
Yes, awesome. Also the mission of these books, you guys, giving people many different ideas. I would sit in my classes for continuing education, keeping up my license as a physical therapist. I'd have to take a couple of a year. And the one thing I never could get on board with was when something similar was said in those classes, like this way is the only way. The teachers who were so purist that they couldn't talk about the other kinds of modalities because they were so intent in saying that their way was the way. You get that feeling inside you that is just a no right away to something like that. But that's exactly why I wanted to pull together something where if you were a client or a patient who had been to 10 different doctors without really great results, the thing you need to understand is there's still something out there for you. So for people not to lose hope. And that's, for me, that's why holistic. That's like, we need to go into some of these other places and learn other different kinds of tools. There's something for everybody, right? Lorraine, how about you? What's something you want the listener to know?
Piggyback off of Rich, there's no greater healer than you. There's no greater guru, teacher than you. And when you heal yourself, you heal the world.
Yes, 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 with an exclamation point. I love it. Okay, I got one last little question for you guys. We'll keep with you, Lorraine, for a minute. What do you love to do so much you lose track of time?
Being with my husband.
Oh, you had to say that. He'll pay you later.
No, it's the truth. Just being, right? Just to be, just to be.
How about you,
whatever
Rich?
that looks like.
I would agree. I mean, when we're together, there's a harmonic resonance that transcends anything. And that is the true beauty.
I love it. Thank you. John, what do you love to do so much you lose track of time?
Well, we've been talking a lot about it here.
I know we have.
That's an easy one for me. But
it's kind of a no-brainer, huh?
But other things I like to do are work with my hands and build things, fix things. But the bottom line with both of those is it does allow me to be, because I'm not consumed by anything else. I'm just being.
I love that in terms of when I've given myself enough time for art, any kind, music, same thing. Just being in the vibration of that, whether it just be something still where I'm listening or doing with my hands. So meditative, right? Hours can go by. I love that. Susan, you're last but not least.
Thank you, thank you. For me, it's two things. One of them is cooking. Anything that has to do with the creation of food and nourishment. The messier and the more involved, the better. And I completely lose my place when that's happening, and it's very restorative. And the second one, as John said, we've been talking about, is being anywhere outside. I can just completely lose track of time and come out of that with so much energy.
Oh man, the cooking thing, you guys. I think one of the biggest gifts of the pandemic for me was the time to slow down and cook meals with my family again. We had lost that, and coming back, and I never enjoyed it because it was always rushed. You know, it never felt like nourishment. It just felt like an obligation to get some food in my mouth, you know, but with the time, my daughter and I specifically, you know, we were talking about teenagers earlier. What a gift that time in the kitchen has been. And she's enjoyed it too. You know, you can feel the vibe of that. It's been so cool. And speaking of nature, you guys, I was sitting preparing for this interview today. I was up very early this morning for whatever reason, a little earlier than usual. But I sit in my office that you see me in here, and what you can't see is the door in front of me, which I usually just open wide and let myself hear the birds or whatever. And it wasn't fully light out, and I heard a clip clop on the driveway, and 4 deer just, you know, strolled across. Literally, I'm looking out at the door at them, and they looking in at me because I must have made a little noise when I got, you know, when I startled by them. But oh my goodness, every single time a creature comes into my world, I consider it a gift. So I'll go look up deer medicine later too. I already know that one. I love that. All right, you guys, any last words? Anyone have a last comment, last thing on your mind today? Anything goes.
Thanks Laura, for providing an opportunity for these messages to come into the world. It's a gift for all of us to participate, and it's a gift for all of us to receive. And I really appreciate you being a catalyst and a driver and someone who is making that happen.
Thank you very much. Y'all have been amazing. These projects, as you know, have been big energy, and being able to play in the sandbox with some pretty amazing people all doing that together has been totally incredible. So I'm going to say thank you right back at you. Anyone else? All right, you guys. Yeah, I thought I saw something. What was happening there?
No, I just want to say you're badass. That's what I want
Oh,
to say.
well, thank
I
you.
just want to say you're badass. And seriously, like, to piggyback what Susan said, I mean, thank you so much for being of service, right, to the world, for having the vision and that vision of knowing that you had to put a book together, and I'm just going to trust, right? Trust, I'm going to put it, I'm going to trust that people are going to step in and do this with me. And it's, for me, such an honor to be part of that vision for you, with you, and to walk this journey with everyone that's within this book. And I trust that anyone that picks up this book, it's because you're meant to pick up this book, because there's going to be so many beautiful things that you're meant to learn from this book, to help guide you from this book to find you. So thank you so much for doing this for us all.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Laura.
Also.
Thank you.
So listeners, after those conversations, I know you're going to want to come explore. So just remember, down below the video in the notes, I'm going to hook you up with the bios that I read earlier, and we'll have the websites there for you. So explore until this book comes out. And remember too that one of the biggest bonuses that we're offering for the launch of the Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing is a private Facebook group where you can come rub elbows with these amazing people that you see here today. Whoever gets to read a healing book and then go ask questions of those authors. There are going to be live trainings, Q&As, and a whole lot of other badassery in there, you guys, so don't miss it. I will have that link there for you too, so that you can come explore that. And last, I think I'm going to finish off with one of my favorite questions ever to all of you listeners. What if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? These books are full of those tools, y'all. So until next time, see you guys.